Hello and thank you for joining me today. My name is Niragiri and I'm currently working on a assignment for communication skills. As part of this assignment, I'm exploring the topic of how social media has impacted communication skills, in particular in the context of language learning. Today, I'm excited to be speaking with Kashmira Balamurugan. He's a TESL student. Kashmira, thank you so much for taking your time to share your insights with me. The purpose of this interview is to understand your perspective on how social media has impacted and influenced your communication skills, both in formal and informal way. I believe your experiences and thoughts will provide a valuable insight for my studies. And before we begin, I want to inform you that in this interview will be recorded for my assignment purpose. And if at any point you feel uncomfortable or want to stop, just let me know. With that said, let's dive into the discussion. I'd like to start by asking you about your experiences with social media and how it has influenced your English skills. So the first question would be how social media has influenced your use of English in both formal and informal context.
So, social media has significantly influenced my use of English, particularly in informal context. So, platforms like Twitter and Instagram encourage brevity, so adapted by using abbreviations, slang, and emojis to convey my thoughts quickly. So, however, it doesn't always translate well to formal settings where clarity, proper grammar are more important. I sometimes catch myself using informal language or shortcuts, academic writing, or professional emails, which I have to continuously correct.
So, do you think social media has improved or hindered your communication skills, and in what ways?
So social media has both improved and hindered my communication skill. On the positive side, it has expanded my vocabulary, especially with new slang and colloquial expressions. I also become more adept at engaging with diverse audience and tailoring my communication style to different platforms. However, it has also made me more reliant on visual cues like emojis and GIFs, which aren't available in all communication contexts. This reliance sometimes make it challenging to convey emotion or tone purely through text in more formal settings.
So, how do you navigate the differences between online communication and face-to-face interaction?
So, navigating the difference between online communication and face-to-face interaction requires a shift in how I express myself. So, online I can take my time to think about my response and often rely on text, images, or videos. In face-to-face interaction, however, I have to be aware of my body gestures, tone of voice, and immediacy of the conversation. I also learn to be more present and engage in person, making sure that my non-verbal cues align with what I am saying.
So, have you noticed any changes in your ability to convey ideas clearly or understand others due to the influence of social media?
So yes, I've noticed that social media has both sharpened and dulled my communication abilities. On one hand, I've become better at summarizing my thoughts and conveying ideas consistently thanks for the character limits on platforms in Twitter. So on the other hand, I also sometimes struggle with more in-depth discussion because I'm used to fast-paced snippet like communication online. Understanding others can also be very tricky. So especially if they use a lot of sarcasm or irony, which can be harder to detect without vocal cues.
So, how do you think social media could be utilized effectively in language learning settings?
So social media could be a powerful tool for language learning if you use strategically lah. So it provides exposure to real world use, including slangs, idioms, and cultural references might covered in the textbooks. Platforms like YouTube or TikTok can be used to follow educational content creators or engage with native speakers. However, it is important to balance it more formal and to ensure that learners don't pick up bad habits or overly informal language that might not appropriate at all.
How often do you use social media for communication? And do you think this frequency affects your language skills?
So I use social media daily, probably for a few hours each day, whether it's chatting with friends, scrolling through posts or participating in online discussions. I think this constant exposure has both helped and hindered my language skills. On one hand, it keeps me engaged with the language, especially through informal interactions. On the other hand, I sometimes find myself slipping into habits like using abbreviation or incorrect grammar without even realizing it, which can carry over into more formal communication.
So, can you share a specific example of situation where social media has influenced your communication in real life dimension?
So yes, there was a time when I used a lot of slang in a class presentation because I've been seeing it frequently on social media. So I didn't think much of it, but afterward, my professor pointed out of while I was engaging, it wasn't entirely appropriate for the academic setting. The experience made me more aware of how much social media habits were influencing my communication style.
So, the last question is what advice would you give to other TESL students regarding the use of social media or improving our communication skills?
So my advice would be to use social media as a tool of exposure to everyday English but not rely on it. So it's great for learning how people actually speak and understanding cultural event, but it's also important to supplement with the formal study. To engage with the content and challenge like reading articles and watching educational video and be mindful of language we are picking from social media so it aligns with your goals.
So that brings us to the end of our discussion. Kashmira, thank you so much for sharing your experience and insights with me. Our perspective as a TESL student has provided a deeper understanding on the impact of social media and communication skills. Once again, thank you for your time and contributing to my research. I really appreciate your willingness to participate in this interview. I'm sure your insights will be incredibly helpful as I work on my assignment. And thank you, and I wish you all the best in your studies, and goodbye.
Goodbye.